When my brother-in-law raised his glass at my father's memorial dinner and called him the finest man he had ever known, the whole table murmured in agreement. I just touched the medals pinned to my lapel, because I knew exactly where they had spent the last 4 months. And by the end of the night, so did everyone at that table. My father died last spring. 30 years in the army, 2 tours, and a chest of medals he kept in a glass case by the front door. Not to show off, he always said, but to remember the men who didn't come home. When he passed, my sister and I agreed the medals would stay in the family. Greg, her husband, offered to keep the case at their house, where it was safe. He was helpful that whole month. He organised the memorial fund the relatives chipped into. He carried the case out to his car himself. And I, grieving and grateful, let him. In June, I asked to see the case. Greg said it was in storage and that moving it again would risk the glass. In July, he told me Dad had probably promised a medal or 2 to old army friends. "You know how his memory went at the end, love," he said. "Maybe yours is going the same way." He said it so gently that I felt ashamed for asking. I apologised, to him, for wanting to look at my own father's medals. I found the truth by accident. A cousin sent me a photo from a militaria forum, a collector showing off a beautiful set he had just picked up. I knew that set. I knew the dent in the campaign star, where Dad dropped it on the barracks floor in 1974. He told the story every Christmas. The seller's town was Greg's town. The listing date was the week after the funeral. He hadn't put the medals in storage. He had sold my father before the flowers on his grave had wilted. So I stopped asking questions out loud, and I started asking them on paper. The memorial fund the relatives gave, £1,100, had never reached the headstone mason. It had cleared into Greg's account, and there was a credit agreement taken out against Dad's estate, signed by the executor. I am the executor. I had signed nothing. That last one has a word for it. Forgery. I didn't say any of it. I drove 3 hours to the collector. A decent man, who went pale when I showed him the death certificate and a photo of Dad wearing his own medals. He sold them back to me at cost and gave me the original listing in writing. I photographed everything. I saw a solicitor. I copied every statement into a folder and left it at my sister's house, because she still didn't know, and I needed her somewhere safe for when it came out. And every Sunday, I still sat across from Greg at family lunch and passed him the potatoes. The memorial dinner was Greg's idea, 1 year on. The whole family, the good restaurant, a toast. Greg never arranged anything he couldn't be seen arranging. He stood and called my father the finest man he had ever known, and when he sat back down, I stood up, and the candlelight caught the medals on my lapel. He stopped mid-sentence. I watched a year of easy charm drain out of his face in about 2 seconds. Because there was only one way those medals could be on me, and it meant I knew all of it. I laid the forum listing on the tablecloth and smoothed it flat. My sister picked it up. She read the date out loud. Then she read it again. "Not here," Greg whispered. "Here is fine," I said. "You pawned my father's medals the week we buried him. You took the money meant for his headstone, and you signed my name to a loan. That one's called forgery, and the police already have the file. You'll be contacted Monday." I just thought the family should hear it somewhere he would have liked. My sister was crying. Greg's parents wouldn't look at him. I thanked everyone for coming, kissed my sister's cheek, none of this was her fault, and walked out into the cold, breathing properly for the first time in a year. The medals are back in the glass case by my front door now. The dent in the campaign star catching the light exactly where it always did. Dad kept them to remember the men who didn't come home. I keep them to remember that some debts do get paid. And this time, I know exactly where they are.